Hey beautiful souls, welcome to midweek vibes for this week, our Ascension update. How are you? Calista here. Filming today by this beautiful spot in Blairgowrie, Scotland where I live, and I'll turn the camera around if I can while filming. I don't think I can do that live, so let's just show you where I'm filming. So in a little spot down by the river here, and it's all cordoned off. I had to jump over fences and navigate my way down here, but it was really guided. We had a great sense of, and when I say we, myself and you collectively tuning in to what midweek vibes are for this week, we had a great sense of water energy coming through today. And even when I was walking down the path, there was an emblem of a mermaid, I guess made out of the dampness because it's just been raining. Perfect shape of a mermaid. It's like, okay, that's a great confirmation. And I can feel the mermaids sitting here with us now, and hopefully you can feel them too, coming in through the beautiful sounds of the water. And the energy of this week is quite interesting. There's a lot of purging going on, a lot of releasing, especially emotional release. So we're in very good company with the water energy here, with the mermaids, that of course are the nature spirits that help to reflect our emotional beings and help to bring our emotions and our feelings into harmony and into coherence with our spirit and where we're going in life. And so you might have felt this week lots of emotions coming up. Maybe you wanted to have a lot of doobie days or just time away. Maybe you've had a lot of physical purging as well. It seems to be the nature of this particular flow that we're in, because the ascension waves, sometimes they're very high and intense and they bring a lot to the surface. And sometimes they dip low down, which we're in right now. We're in a bit of a dip. It's a time of more of a reflective time to allow these releases to happen. I know sometimes they're not so fun. But we always have the support by, of course, just coming out into nature and tuning into the particular element that we need, whether it's water for the emotions, whether we're just in our head space and we can't find peace of mind over issues or problems or what's going on in the world stage right now. Maybe we need the element of the air, so we come out to an open landscape, to a field or on top of a hill. Maybe we need the grounding of the earth and we come into a forest. And maybe we need fire, so we sit in the sun. Whatever we need, Mother Earth is here. She gives us this. She gives us this support. But I also wanted to talk about, so that's the current energy, this sort of dip and time of rest, time of purging, emotions running high. But there's also a greater message here, and I was on the fence whether to share it or not, but it has to be said, and I don't feel enough spiritual teachers are talking about this for fear that they'll be deplatformed or judged or they'll lose followers. Like, I really can't, all of that doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is the fact that if I'm not being in integrity and sharing the messages that are coming through from Spirit, then I start to feel that in my body because I'm not doing myself a service or you a service. So what I've wanted to talk about today, as well as the purging, we can't escape that the two-world shift is happening more and more. Two realities are coming forward, whether we name them 3D or 4D. It doesn't really matter, asleep or awake. The long and the short of it is, two realities are being created. One which is perpetuating struggle and control, fear, dominance, suffering, and another that is bringing forward a new pathway, a pathway that we've not walked before, friends. Even though there has been ages of ascension, this is new. This is new. Gone are the days that we're just repeating historical timelines like Atlantis and Lemuria. Yes, that's part of our consciousness, but we are moving forward to something new. So our guides, it's another point, they're asking us to stop looking back at these old historical timelines. Unless they serve us now, for example, bringing back a skill or something that we once had in these ages that are still very much living. But I digress. So there's the more the suffering, the more the struggle life that many are leading right now, because they're still holding on to the 3D world. A world that is crumbling and dissolving, and will continue to do so at least for the next 5.5 years, because we're in a 7-year path ascension cycle that I've talked about before, and we've got about 5.5 years left of that. Lovely time, that transition time. But there's also another pathway that's opening, that of a path of freedom, a path of greater choice, a path of unity, co-creative harmony, co-creative manifestation, co-creative building of the new earth that's coming forward whether we like it or not. And you can feel it when you come into nature. You can feel that world. It's already here because, of course, it's overlaying physically and energetically now. It's overlaying the earth. We could call it 5D, or we could call it the new earth. But this overlay is here and it's present. And the more that we are holding on to the old construct of fear and control, dominance, suffering, the more that it's going to just continue to perpetuate that. And so I've been on the fence whether I want to speak about that today. Why? Because I like to speak more and perpetuate more about New Earth, about that pathway that's opening up of greater freedom. But we can't talk about that all the time without understanding what is still taking place on the world stage right now, because it is affecting us. If we are forever aligned in presence, resonance, and alignment with source, we're not going to be affected by anybody's choices, by what's in the media, by what's going on, their last ditch attempts at controlling humanity. We're not going to be affected because we're completely in alignment. But we're not always in that state of grace, friends, are we? Sometimes we're not in that state of alignment in our mind or our emotions, especially with weeks like this. And so it can be easy that when you hear stories of what's going on, especially all the evidence that's coming up about people who have received, the shot and they're now those that have not had the placebo, who are actually receiving the real shot that is changing the genetic makeup. It's very difficult to just witness that and say to yourself, oh, in a couple of years that's just all going to dissolve, let's keep focusing on New Earth, while your fellow brothers and sisters are suffering and will continue to suffer. Now, I'm a firm believer. I used to be a cancer research scientist, so I'm speaking from this from a scientific point of view and also an energetic point of view, and somebody who's just compassionate and can feel the energy just like you and I, that what they have created is all part of the old agenda. It really is. It's for depopulation, it's for keeping people in fear, it's for disrupting fertility. I mean, and all the evidence is there. People are going into fertility clinics where they have viable sperm and eggs. They're receiving the shot, and afterwards their their eggs and their sperm are not viable anymore, and they're very sluggish. It's affecting so many. I'm around my mum. She's the only person in my physical world that has received it, and if I'm not in my state of alignment and presence and awareness, which we're not always 100% of the time there, I can feel it from her. I really can feel it from her. And I've had disruptive things happen to my own cycle, as my daughter has. And she's only 24 months. She's had a lot of the signs and symptoms that have been reported by other, unfortunately, other very, very young female children. And I can't bury my head in the sand and say that, yes, this old world is going to crumble. Let's just focus our gaze over here at 5D and beyond when this is happening on the world stage. So my guidance was to share both perspectives, because I think so many people are digging their heads in the sand, or when somebody is sharing an alternative opinion, like what I'm sharing today, they get judgmental, they go into fight or flight. Now we should be able to, because we are ascending our consciousness and awareness, be able to hear one another's opinions without being triggered. And if there is a trigger there, understanding, okay, wonderful, that is part of my growth. Let's lean into that. Let's look at that. Let's unpack that. Why did that trigger me? How is that being reflected in my own thoughts and beliefs? This is the path of ascension. And the more that we can bring our triggers and our judgments of everything that's going on right now within into wholeness, and bring them into who we are, the more that we are going to move forward. And I really hope that many more teachers and people who hold the space are going to share their opinions, because I know many people who don't want to do this. They are literally scared of losing followers, of being deplatformed. I know people who have literally been given money to talk about the positive effects of receiving the shot. Can you believe this? It is just absolutely crazy. Anyway, it's happening, friends. On a more positive note, a lot of the old agendas and a lot of the beings that are behind what's happening right now, because this is part of a long game that's been played for a very long time, are leaving planet Earth. For example, the reptilians are no longer part of the Earth. There's only a very few here part of the Earth now, which is wonderful. Now, I'm not going to give them a bad rap. They're doing what they need to do, and that was part of their divine plan to incite a lot of fear. But they're off-world. Most of them, anyway, are off-world, because we are moving forward. And we're being given a choice from the source within, the source of all, to just choose. Do we continue to buy into fear, to buy into suffering, and keep grasping onto an old crumbling system just because it's the only thing that we've ever known, and it feels comfortable and it feels safe? Or do we allow ourselves to let go of that, open ourselves up to the triggers, to the judgments, to the, yeah, perhaps you will be deplatformed or whatever will happen, or your family won't speak to you, or there'll be breaks in your relationship, whatever it is. Do you have the courage to open yourself up, to let all that go, in order to eventually move from the suffering 3D world to the freedom world, the freedom codes of 5D and beyond? I know that many of you are making this change. I know that I'm making this change. And I hope you will share this video today, because I'm in my courage here sharing this when so many aren't. And I know a lot of you are, and you share lots of the more the truth videos, which is great. And I'm not in judgment to anybody who has to or feel they have to receive the shot and things like that. At the end of the day, the source within us, the source within our body, can alchemize and change anything that we put into our body. I mean, we're releasing and cleansing every day. I mean, every 7 years we're a completely new body. All the cells in our body every 7 years are completely changed. But energetically, this is affecting our DNA. It's affecting people who haven't even received the vaccine as well. If we're in our state of resonance and awareness and alignment all the time, it won't affect us. It'll just pass us by. But we're not all there yet, friends. I hold my hand up. I'm not always there yet. So I'm still being affected. But I'm looking at the triggers. I'm looking at what's coming up when I'm feeling it, to make the changes, to let go, to move continually forward into this new earth that's been seeded anyway, that's right here, right now, in this now moment, is here. The elementals are in this place. The birds are in this place. The insects, the animals are in this place. And they're asking us just to make that choice. Do we choose suffering or freedom? Let me know what you're choosing in the comments. Please share this video. Oh, my love.